The one-of-a-kind prototype smartwatch, a project I'd personally sunk over $10 million into developing, was now on the wrist of my wife Victoria's personal designer. He was showing it off on his Instagram story. A picture of his wrist, angled just so, with the caption, "The perfect synthesis of technology and art." A huge thank you to Victoria for her trust in my vision. This gift is one I'll treasure forever. My executive assistant sent me the screenshot. In the photo, the proprietary chip I had calibrated by hand had been swapped out for some gaudy, jewel-encrusted faceplate. And the priceless titanium alloy band, engineered for durability and lightweight, was being flaunted like some cheap piece of bling. I sent a message to my wife, demanding an explanation. The read receipt popped up instantly. Then silence. 3 hours later, I posted a video to my Twitter account with a simple caption, "Top-tier R&D labs are so advanced, they can even find a use for wasted space." The video showed Victoria's private design studio, her artsy downtown loft, being systematically gutted by a construction crew and transformed into a state-of-the-art AI robotics lab. 1. Less than 10 minutes after the tweet went live, my mother-in-law's number flashed on my screen. I answered, and a shrill, furious voice shot through the phone. "Ethan Cole, that lab in your video. You didn't build that in Victoria's studio, did you?" At almost the same moment, a link to my own tweet appeared in my messages. It had already surpassed 1 million views, trending hard in the tech world. I felt not a shred of guilt. I answered calmly, "I did. It's your daughter's old studio. And you have a good eye, Carol." I added. The line went silent for a few seconds. I wisely held the phone an inch from my ear. As expected, a torrent of rage erupted. "Are you insane? You wasteful, destructive brat," she shrieked. "I'm going to be the laughingstock of my circle. My friends are all seeing this. You will take that video down this instant, and you will change that monstrosity back into a studio." I waited for her to run out of breath before forwarding her the screenshot from her daughter's designer. Then I said, my voice dangerously calm, "Your daughter gave my property to some stray dog she picked up. Am I not allowed to renovate her studio? You have to admit, Carol, it's a fair trade. She touched my things, so I touched hers. It's perfectly logical." I thought, foolishly, that seeing the evidence would make her see reason, that she might even take my side. Instead, after a long pause, she came back with even more self-righteous fury. "Victoria is a CEO. Part of her job is managing client and vendor relationships. It's called networking. As her husband, you could stand to be a little less insecure and a little more supportive." Her breathtaking double standard was so absurd, I had to laugh. I knew she doted on her daughter, but I never imagined she was this blind. "Well, Carol, since you're so open-minded about these things, I wouldn't mind helping your husband find a few young, eager assistants for his office," I said smoothly. "I'm sure he wouldn't object. You're getting on in years. You should be more considerate and find him some people who can provide dedicated support." That shut her up. It took her a moment to process what I'd said, and when she did, she flew into another rage. "How dare you? I can't believe you'd say something so disgusting. You're a lunatic, a complete psychopath. The day Victoria married a man like you was the unluckiest day of her life. If you so much as think about putting ideas in her father's head, I swear I will make you regret it." She slammed the phone down, probably terrified of what I might say next. It's always the same. When it's not happening to them, people like my mother-in-law are willfully blind. They'll defend their own without a second thought. But the moment the tables are turned, they see things with perfect clarity. Besides, if anyone married up in this relationship, it was the Prescotts. 3 years ago, Prescott Manufacturing was on the verge of bankruptcy. Victoria's father, leveraging the small seed loan he'd given me when I was just starting out, came to me practically begging for a bailout. I have a soft spot for Victoria's ambition and her face, and like an idiot, I agreed. After we were married, I leveraged my own company's resources and my network of contacts to quietly patch the massive technological holes in their operation. In just 2 years, I dragged their failing, old-school factory into the era of smart manufacturing, turning it into a lean, profitable powerhouse. But the gratitude didn't last. My mother-in-law, who once sang my praises, now spoke to me with utter contempt. And my wife, once so gentle and supportive, now felt entitled to give away my most personal projects. It seems the Prescott family, once they got a taste of real success, forgot exactly how they got there. They've forgotten that the power and influence of Cole Technologies is something they can't even begin to comprehend. If they dare to cross me, I won't hesitate to take back everything I've given them. 2. An hour passed with no word from Victoria. I was about to call her and demand an answer when my assistant sent me a few more messages. Mr. Cole, Ms. Prescott is at the Pacific Northwest Smart Manufacturing Expo. She's with the designer. Sir, the chatter online is that he's her new boyfriend. Attached was a photo. Victoria, dressed in a stunningly expensive power suit, was laughing and clinking glasses with several industry titans. Standing possessively by her side was Julian Vance, dressed in designer casual wear and wearing my prototype smartwatch. He was positioned next to her with an air of intimacy, like he was the host of the party. My knuckles turned white as I gripped my phone. I knew this expo. It was an exclusive event, invitation only, hosted by the biggest names in tech. In the past, the person standing by Victoria's side at an event of this caliber would have been me, the founder of Cole Technologies, her husband. But now, not only did she not tell me she was going, she took Julian Vance, a designer, as her date. Victoria, you've got some nerve. A hot rage surged through me, and I made a decision on the spot. I buzzed my assistant. Give me one of the new androids from the lab. I'm going to the expo. My assistant hesitated. Sir, do you mean you want me to drive you? Or you're taking the android with you? I'm taking it with me. It can ride shotgun. My assistant, though bewildered, just said, yes, sir, and left. 10 minutes later, I arrived at the convention center with a humanoid android, a prototype worth well over $1 million, in tow. I skipped the VIP entrance, letting the android lead the way as we walked directly onto the main floor. The sight of the founder of Cole Technologies being escorted by a fully autonomous android parted the crowd like the Red Sea. Guided by the event staff, I made my way to the central exhibition area. I spotted them immediately, Victoria and Julian standing close together, laughing intimately. To any outsider, they looked like a power couple. I hit a command on my controller, and the android came to a halt. Its quiet electronic hum was just loud enough to draw the attention of everyone nearby. Victoria looked up. The moment she saw me, her smile froze on her face. It took her a second to register the android standing beside me. Her brow furrowed in annoyance as she stormed over. What are you doing here? And what is that thing? What are you planning, Ethan? She tried to grab my arm to pull me away, but the android, following its programming, smoothly stepped between us, blocking her path. I looked down at her, a cold, humorless smile on my face. What's the matter? You're attending a major industry event, and as your husband, I'm not welcome? The invitation didn't say no advanced robotics. The security guards didn't seem to have a problem with it. Where are you trying to drag my android off to? She let go of my arm, but hissed under her breath. I am trying to close a major deal here, Ethan. Do not cause a scene. I grinned, then raised my voice so everyone nearby could hear. A deal, you say? Really? Because all I see is you attached at the hip to your designer. Or is the deal you're closing deciding which hotel you two will be celebrating at tonight? A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Faces showed a mixture of shock, curiosity, and the undisguised excitement of people who smell blood in the water. The gossip was starting in real time. Victoria's face turned pale with fury. What are you talking about? We have a professional relationship. Don't be ridiculous. Julian Vance looked panicked and flustered. Mr. Cole, Victoria and I are just colleagues. There's nothing going on. Is that so? Just colleagues? I repeated the words slowly, then let out a short, sharp laugh. Fina, let's say you're just colleagues. I calmly tapped another command on my controller. The android's voice, a crisp, synthetic tone, echoed through the now silent hall. Unauthorized user detected in possession of owner's proprietary device. Initiate asset recovery protocol. The entire floor went quiet. Every eye in the room swiveled to Julian Vance's wrist and to the gleaming, one-of-a-kind smartwatch he was wearing. I watched the color drain from Julian's face as I explained, my voice casual. This unit is equipped with our latest biometric asset recognition system. It's designed to identify my personal property. I paused. Looks like it found something interesting. Julian turned ghost white, instinctively trying to hide his wrist. But it was too late. The android's optical scanners had already locked onto the target. Just then, an investor I knew, a man named Peterson, approached me. "Ethan, what a surprise! This android is incredible. Is this the new prototype from Cole Technologies everyone's been whispering about?" I smiled at him. "The very same. This is the latest model from our lab. If you're interested, Mr. Peterson, you should come by for a private demonstration. I'll walk you through it myself." I then addressed the crowd. "In fact, all of you are welcome to visit my newly built AI lab to experience our cutting-edge technology firsthand." Peterson's eyes lit up. "I'd love that. I've heard rumors you build a world-class lab right in your home. I've been dying to see it." As I graciously accepted the compliment from those around us, I shot a pointed look at Julian. It's a shame, isn't it? Some people are always coveting what others have worked for. They think that just because something is in a new environment, they can claim it as their own. But technology, I continued, my gaze locking onto him, no matter how advanced, always has a master. It only truly answers to its creator. I turned my full attention to Julian. "Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Vance?" "Mr. Cole, I don't know what you mean," he stammered, shrinking behind Victoria. His face was slick with sweat. Victoria, however, was still completely lost. She frowned at me, confused. "What lab? What are you talking about, Ethan? I don't know anything about a new lab at the house." Before I could answer, one of the onlookers chimed in helpfully. "Ms. Prescott, your husband converted your design studio into an AI lab. The video is all over Twitter. Here, look." The man eagerly showed her my post on his phone. In just a few hours, it had become a sensation in the tech community. As Victoria watched the video, her face grew darker and darker. Finally, she whipped her head toward me, her eyes blazing. "You demolished my studio?" I met her furious gaze with a brilliant smile. "I did. Aren't you excited? Now we have the most advanced home lab on the West Coast." "Ethan, Cole," she seethed, a vein pulsing in her temple. "Are you out of your mind? Who gave you the right to touch my things? Do you have any idea how much that studio meant to me? It cost me a fortune and a year of my life to design." "I'm not the one who's crazy," I said, my smile vanishing. My voice dropped, turning hard as steel. "You thought you could give my prototype, my work, to another man, but I can't demolish your little hobby room. I'm just following your lead. You can't have it both ways, Victoria." Each word was deliberate, cold, and sharp. She finally seemed to grasp the root of the issue. The watch. That was a bonus, a reward for his exceptional design talent. You have dozens of gadgets you never even use. What's the big deal if I give one to a deserving employee? If you're that upset, I'll buy you a few more next week. Now call your people and tell them to put my studio back the way it was." She reached for me again, trying to pull me away from the crowd. "Whatever this is, we can discuss it at home. Don't stand here and embarrass us both." I yanked my arm away from her touch. "Embarrass us?" I laughed, a bitter, ugly sound. "We're not leaving. This isn't finished. You're acting awfully guilty. Could be you really are keeping a boy toy on the side." The crowd erupted in whispers. Victoria's face was a mask of pure fury. "I told you it was a corporate gift to a subordinate. We are colleagues. What is it you want, Ethan?" Seeing her stand there, still so defiant, so utterly without remorse, I lost all interest in playing games. I turned, opened my briefcase, and took out a brand new, top-of-the-line VR headset. And then I smashed it on the marble floor. Crack! The expensive device shattered into a dozen pieces. I looked straight at her, my voice low and dangerous. "First, you give my watch away. Then you bring him here, to this event, on your arm. Victoria, you have a staggering amount of audacity. I'm warning you now. If you ever touch my things again, or if I ever have to see this man's face again, I promise you, the next thing you lose won't be a studio or some piece of hardware. I had the power to lift Prescott Manufacturing to the top of the industry, and I have the power to bankrupt it and erase it from existence." Without another word, I turned, my android falling in a step behind me, and walked out of the expo, leaving her in the deafening silence of 100 staring eyes. After that day, we entered a Cold War. Victoria didn't come back to our home, and I couldn't be bothered to contact her. One day, while handling some company finances, I came across the supplementary black card Victoria had insisted on getting for me when we married. Over the past 2 years, she had steadily deposited funds into the associated account, and the balance had grown to over $5 million. I'd never touched it, always assuming it was a rainy day fund for her company. Now, thinking about the money she was lavishing on her designer, I realized what a fool I'd been. I took the card and drove straight to a high-end electronics boutique. Whatever she spent on him, I was going to spend 10 times that amount. I spent the entire afternoon buying up every new piece of tech in the store. But when the manager tried to ring up my massive purchase, the system declined the card. "I'm very sorry, Mr. Cole," he said, looking embarrassed. "It appears this card has been frozen. Do you have another form of payment?" I stared at him in disbelief. "Frozen? What do you mean?" "Yes, sir. Ms. Prescott froze the supplementary card yesterday. There's a $0 spending limit on it now." Yesterday, and here I was thinking she might be reflecting on her actions. Instead, the first thing she did was cut me off. I stormed out, pulling out my phone to call her, only to discover she had blocked my number. As I stood there seething, a new message came in from my assistant. It was another screenshot, this time from Julian Vance's Instagram feed. The caption read, "Officially promoted to chief designer. Thank you, Victoria, for believing in me. I won't let you down." The picture was of a lavish corner office on the top floor of a skyscraper. In another photo, he dangled the keys to a luxury condo. And right there, in the comments, was a heart emoji from Prescott Manufacturing's official corporate account. A second message from my assistant followed immediately. "Mr. Cole, she didn't just give him a promotion and a raise. She also bought him a luxury condo in the city center yesterday. Paid in full." I clenched my jaw so hard it ached. She had completely ignored my warning. She hadn't just continued her behavior. She had escalated it, freezing my card while buying her designer a promotion and a condo. "Victoria, you really know how to push my buttons. But you have no idea what you've just unleashed. If you want to play dirty, then let's get filthy." I pulled out my own Centurion card, settled the bill in seconds, and drove straight for the Prescott Manufacturing headquarters. No one in that building dared to stop me. I walked right into the executive elevator and rode it to the top floor. Without hesitating, I kicked the door to her office open. Bang! Victoria was standing by the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, and Julian Vance was right beside her, his hand on her arm as they looked over some blueprints, their posture reeking of intimacy. The loud noise made them both jump. "Ethan, what are you doing?" Victoria shrieked, her face draining of color. Julian instinctively took a step back, his eyes darting away guiltily. "What's wrong, Victoria?" I sneered. "Am I interrupting your design meeting?" "We were just discussing a proposal," she snapped, her expression a mask of irritation. "You think I'm blind? Or stupid? Does discussing a proposal require you to be draped all over each other?" "Mr. Cole, you're mistaken," Julian began, his voice trembling. "Victoria was just showing me some details on the prints." "Who the hell are you to speak?" I cut him off. "No one is talking to you." Seeing her little designer get shut down, Victoria's face darkened. "That's enough. Why are you here, Ethan?" Smack! I threw the frozen credit card onto her polished mahogany desk. "This card, and his new office, and his new condo," I said, my voice dangerously low. "Victoria, I believe you owe me an explanation." Her eyes flickered away for a second. "Those were rewards for Julian's talent. He has generated tremendous value for this company. As for your card," she added dismissively, "consider it a small lesson in humility. Go home. I'll unfreeze it later." I burst out laughing. "Victoria, you can't even be bothered to come up with a convincing lie anymore, can you? You think I need your money? Me, Ethan Cole? I used your card as a courtesy to give you face, but him?" I gestured at Julian. "He's a miracle worker. A year at the company, and he's already leapfrogged people with a decade of experience. A prototype watch, a luxury condo, all for his design talent. You'd think he personally landed a $100 billion contract. His talent isn't in design, is it? It's in servicing the CEO." The commotion had drawn the attention of other executives and employees who were now peeking out of their offices. Victoria took a step forward, trying to grab me. "This is a place of business. Can you stop making a scene?" "Don't touch me," I snarled, pulling away as if her hand were toxic. "I'm disgusted by you." Julian's eyes welled with tears, a perfect picture of wounded innocence. "Mr. Cole, you've really misunderstood. Victoria and I are just friends. You can't slander us like this." He looked like he was about to collapse from the sheer injustice of it all, playing the victim with practiced ease. Victoria's face was stone. "Your temper has to have a limit, Ethan. Julian is a dedicated and brilliant designer. Everything he's received, he has earned." Clap, clap, clap. I applauded slowly, a mocking grin on my face. "Bravo. The sheer nerve is almost impressive." "Well, Victoria," I said, my voice suddenly calm, "since you're so confident in Mr. Vance's performance, I won't argue. Instead, why don't we let the public weigh in? Let's see what they think of these rewards." I turned toward the open door. "Bring in the equipment." Victoria and Julian froze, having no idea what was coming. My assistant, who had been waiting outside, immediately entered with a professional live streaming kit. She quickly set it up, logged into my official Twitter account, and started a live broadcast, pointing the camera at the three of us. Thanks to the viral video of the studio demolition and the inherent drama of my marriage to Victoria, my live stream instantly flooded with thousands of viewers. "Ethan, you're insane. What do you think you're doing?" Victoria finally realized what was happening, her voice a furious, choked whisper. I smiled warmly into the camera. "Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ethan Cole, founder of Cole Technologies and husband to the president of Prescott Manufacturing." After my introduction, I panned the camera to Victoria and Julian. "This is my wife, Ms. Victoria Prescott. And this gentleman here is her exceptionally talented chief designer, Mr. Julian Vance." I paused for effect, my eyes flicking to Victoria. Her face was turning a shade of purple. Julian tried to move out of the camera's view, but he was trapped, forced to stand rigidly behind her. Ignoring Victoria's murderous glare, I continued speaking to my audience. "My wife recently gifted a multi-million-dollar prototype smartwatch, which I personally developed, to her newly hired designer without my knowledge. I asked her to maintain some professional boundaries. In response, she not only ignored me, but she also froze our joint credit card. But while my funds were restricted, I went on, my tone dripping with false sincerity. This designer, Mr. Vance, after only 1 year at the company, received an unprecedented promotion to chief designer. He was also given a brand new luxury office, and my wife thoughtfully purchased a multi-million-dollar condo for him in the city, paid in full. My wife claims these are simply rewards for his job performance. Now, I'm not an expert in the design industry, so I wanted to ask all of you, is it standard practice for a designer with 1 year of experience to receive perks of this magnitude?" My voice was filled with a carefully crafted mix of confusion and hurt. "I'm just trying to understand if I'm overreacting. Can you all help me out? Is this really just an innocent professional relationship? Or have salaries for designers just skyrocketed recently?" The comment section of the live stream exploded. Victoria stared at me, her eyes wide with rage. "Ethan, that's enough. Julian's contributions to this company are well documented. He deserved everything he got. He deserved my watch." I shot back. "He deserved for you to freeze my card so you could buy him a condo? Or maybe," I said, my voice dropping to a low snarl, "he deserved to stand on the reputation of your actual husband." The live chat went into a frenzy. OMG. The tech billionaire drama is lit. She froze her husband's card to buy her boy toy condo. That's next level. This isn't a reward. It's a sugar mama arrangement. I saw them at the expo last week. They were all over each other. So that's the story behind the studio demolition video. A $10 million watch as a gift. That designer better have some special skills if you know what I mean. Ethan Cole is a legend for this. Streaming the receipts live. The viewers, acting like amateur sleuths, were connecting all the dots. The narrative was set in stone. Julian was hyperventilating, his face pale. "No, it's not true. He's lying." But his weak protests were drowned out by the tidal wave of online speculation. Victoria watched the flood of negative comments and the stock alert notifications flashing on her phone, showing Prescott Manufacturing's stock in freefall. She had probably never imagined I would be so ruthless, so willing to burn everything to the ground. She lunged forward, no longer caring about Julian, and tried to grab the phone. After failing a few times, she lost all semblance of the poised CEO, screaming like a cornered animal. "Ethan, "You lunatic, you're going to destroy my company. What do you want?" A woman who's been sleeping with her subordinate has the nerve to ask me what I want. I retorted coldly, "Isn't that my question to ask you?" I pulled a document from my jacket and slammed it on her desk. It was a divorce agreement. "Victoria, I don't tolerate betrayal, and I don't keep things that have been soiled," I said, each word a hammer blow. "I gave you a chance. You were the one who threw it away. You were the one who kept pushing. So now, in front of the entire internet and all of your employees, I'm officially announcing it. I am divorcing you, and every last thing you gave your designer. My lawyers will be suing to recover all of it. Get ready for bankruptcy." Then, I turned to address the employees gathered in the hallway. "I, Ethan Cole, make this promise to all Prescott employees. Within 1 month, I am terminating all technology partnerships and withdrawing all Cole Technologies resources from this company. For anyone who wishes to leave and join Cole Technologies, I will double your current salary." Effective immediately, a dead silence fell over the office. The live chat was still scrolling at lightning speed, and the crowd in the hallway had grown. Victoria, snapping out of her shock, lunged and slapped the phone out of my assistant's hands. It hit the floor, and the screen shattered, abruptly ending the stream. Her chest was heaving, her eyes filled with disbelief. "Ethan," she choked out, "you would divorce me. Over this? Over a few small mistakes. I don't agree to this." She snatched the divorce papers from her desk and ripped them to shreds. I watched her, my expression unmoved. I walked toward her until I was towering over her. "Small mistakes?" I asked softly. "Victoria, you trampled on my dignity. You took my work for granted. You tested my limits again and again. You used the technology one gave you to prop up that man, and you cut me off financially to feed his ego. You call those small mistakes. This was over the moment you chose him over us. I gave you chances, Victoria. You're the one who didn't want them." Forced backward by my advance, she finally saw the ice in my eyes. The realization that I was serious, that this was really happening, hit her like a physical blow. Her face went ashen, but her pride wouldn't let her fold. I said, "I don't agree. Go home and wait for me. We'll talk this over." "Your agreement," I said with a slight, cruel twist of my lips, "is irrelevant. You have 2 options. You sign the papers, we separate amicably, and maybe Prescott Manufacturing survives in some crippled form. Or you fight me, and I will use the full force of my company to crush yours until there is nothing left. The choice is yours, Victoria. But either way, we are finished, 8. I left the Prescott building and never looked back. I didn't go to the house I'd shared with Victoria. I moved back into my own private villa and immersed myself completely in my work. I issued the orders. All tech support for Prescott Manufacturing was terminated. All resource pipelines were severed. I personally called the partners I had introduced to her family and advised them to seriously reevaluate their relationship with the Prescotts. The technology and support I had injected into her company over the last 2 years, I was now personally ripping it all out. I would make Victoria and her entire family understand the price of my anger. With all my focus back on my own work, free from the distraction of her drama, my productivity soared. Within 2 weeks, I finalized the development of 3 revolutionary smart products. The moment they were announced, they created a market frenzy. Investors were lining up, and Cole Technologies' valuation doubled overnight. My personal net worth skyrocketed. Without her dragging me down, I was finally able to show the world my true potential. My career was thriving, and my personal life was better than ever. I had time for my own hobbies and for friends who actually shared my passions. Victoria's world, on the other hand, was imploding. The crisis at Prescott Manufacturing was swift and brutal. Without my tech, their production lines ground to a halt. Banks started calling in their loans. The company's top engineers and tech talent jumped ship, accepting my generous offers at Cole Technologies. The stock price plummeted into oblivion. Victoria was in a panic, scrambling for help, but every door was slammed in her face. The partners who had once been so friendly now avoided her calls. To make matters worse, she still had Julian Vance. The so-called chief designer she had promoted had no real talent. His previous successes had all been built on the back of my technology. Now that the company was fighting for its life, his incompetence was glaringly obvious. Drunk on the power she'd given him, he made a series of disastrous design decisions, alienating the remaining staff and costing the company what little cash reserves it had left. Victoria tried to defend him at first, but after one catastrophic project failure nearly bankrupted them for good, she finally snapped. She cornered Julian in his office and screamed at him, her voice raw with desperation and rage, before finally just telling him to get out. He tried his usual tactic, putting on his pathetic, wounded act to win her sympathy. But this time, Victoria's eyes were filled with nothing but cold, hard contempt. Julian Vance was escorted out of the building by security, a pathetic end to his short-lived career. Alone in her office late at night, surrounded by the ruins of her company, Victoria began to think. She thought about the long nights I'd stayed up with her, solving impossible technical problems. She thought about the business risks I had shielded her from and the smooth road to success I had paved for her. She thought of the look of pride and love in my eyes. Everything she had taken for granted now seemed impossibly precious. Regret began to consume her. She started trying to win me back. She found out my favorite restaurants and coffee shops and began engineering accidental run-ins. She would be dressed impeccably, her eyes full of a desperate, pleading hope. I never gave her an ounce of acknowledgement. I looked right through her, my face a mask of indifference. The beautiful dresses, the carefully rehearsed apologies that died on her lips, they meant nothing to me. Some things, once broken, can never be fixed. Some people, once you let them go, are gone forever. After several failed attempts, Victoria's pride shattered completely. She turned to alcohol, spending her nights getting blackout drunk at downtown bars. One night, she was slumped in a booth, barely conscious, when she saw a familiar, hated figure emerge from the shadows. It was Julian. He looked nothing like the polished designer she remembered. He was dressed in cheap, dirty clothes, his hair was greasy, and his eyes held a toxic, feverish glint of madness and resentment. He saw her, vulnerable and drunk, and took her from the bar to a cheap motel nearby. When Victoria woke up the next morning in a strange, filthy room, the sight of a disheveled Julian beside her sent a wave of pure horror through her. She screamed, grabbed an empty liquor bottle from the nightstand, and smashed it over his head. "Julian, you bastard! How could you?" He didn't even try to block the blow. Blood streamed down his face, but he just smiled, a twisted, demented grin she had never seen before. "You son of a bitch! I'm calling the police. I'll make sure you rot in prison for the rest of your life." He laughed, a hysterical, broken sound. "Prison? Victoria, do you really think I care about that anymore?" His smile widened. "I have some news for you," he whispered, leaning in close. "Last night, I wasn't very careful, and I was diagnosed with HIV a while back. A little gift I picked up after you and your dear husband ruined my life. And now," he hissed, his eyes alight with triumph, "you probably have it too. Welcome to the end of your life, Victoria. You're finished." The world went silent. Victoria's blood ran cold. After she had fired him, Julian had become a pariah in the design world. Blacklisted and unemployable, he had spiraled into a world of drugs and sex work to survive, where he contracted the disease. Unable to get revenge on me, he focused all of his hatred on her. "It was you," he shrieked, his face contorted with rage. "You and Ethan Cole. You destroyed me. You took everything from me. I wanted you to pay. I wanted you to feel what it's like to have your life burned down around you." Fear, rage, and a bottomless despair swallowed Victoria whole. She looked at the man who had been the catalyst for her ruin, and her sanity snapped. She grabbed the heavy table lamp from the nightstand and brought it down on his head again and again until he stopped moving. The news broke the next day. The story of the tech CEO turned murderer was a national sensation. Victoria Prescott was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. I heard the news while I was in my new lab. As I looked around at the humming, state-of-the-art machinery, at the physical manifestation of my life's work, I felt nothing at all. The fates of Victoria and Julian were of their own making. They had sown the seeds of their own destruction. Sunlight streamed through the massive skylights, glinting off the polished chrome of a new prototype. The past was the past. My future was just beginning.